Now, it takes time to save time, and automating workflows takes time. So you want to make sure that the workflows that you do decide to automate will help as many people as possible. So encourage your coworkers, the end users, your employees to share their ideas with others, with their teammates, with managers, with someone. If the idea makes sense, more people can advocate for the idea in order to get buy-in from executives and managers in the organization, right? Run it up the flagpole. Now, another strategy to identify which processes to automate is to take a look at volume. How prevalent is this particular process? How frequently does it occur? Not only are high volume processes going to be the biggest sources of time that you can save, but with a higher volume comes a higher potential for making mistakes. So think about this in a couple of different ways. Again, what's the frequency? How often is this occurring? Second, how time intensive is the process? Now, this process might only occur once per customer, but if it's taking hours or days to complete, then automating that process or some pieces within it, that might be worth it. Now, depending on the volume of customers, of course. It might also take only a few minutes, but again, depending on the frequency, those minutes quickly turn into hours, into days, into weeks. Now, Colleen mentioned one additional type of volume to look at when deciding what to automate. So let's take a listen to that. So when you're thinking about like what processes on the back end, like the things that the workflows that you're kind of talking about, bringing Asana into it, like what are the things, how did you prioritize what to do first? Like with that intake form, or were there certain processes that you were like, we should probably do this before we do anything else? Or how did you kind of arrive at that?
The most important one really were for one-off campaigns where we're not building out like an evergreen automation where it's just always going to be on. We do send a lot of standalone campaigns. Within that, the segmentation is automated. So I can just say, I want to send to customers in North America who've had an account for 6 months and are the account owner. I can do things like that. But because those one-off campaigns are seen by such a large number of people, and because there are so many people involved with building those, we really wanted to make sure we had a good process in place for this is the agreed upon subject line, segment, like every little detail, so that we could just pick it up and very easily execute. And then anything that involves like a new workflow. So I remember a couple of years ago, it was more than that, when we did like our very first like partner webinar, we had no process for it. So it's just like running around, like we're excited, everybody's excited, there's a lot of excitement, but like nobody knows who's doing what, who owns this piece of it, who is actually going to like build out the integration with the webinar platform. So whenever there are a lot of people involved and there's a lot of excitement, you're going to want to figure out a way that you could have the structure in place so that you can do it again in the future while still having the flexibility of making changes and iterating.
I love that like thing to look for, like the excitement level. And a lot of people, I've talked a lot so far in this episode about look for places where there's high volume. So whether it's high volume of people or a task, a process that you're doing repeatedly, or a high volume of, like you mentioned with the campaigns, if they're going to be seen by a lot of people, a high volume of people, a high volume of time, and then a high volume of excitement, I think is something to add there. That's a really great insight there. So what's the volume of the process? How much time? How many times does it have to get done? How many people are impacted? How many people are involved? How much time, effort, back and forth can you eliminate? Do the arithmetic here. Let the numbers help you prioritize. And finally, one final way to find a process to automate: what do you hate doing? Now, is this strategy more emotional than logical? You bet it is. Is it pragmatic? No, not really. But you know what? It's your business. It's your time, and it's your life. So if you hate doing something, why not take some steps to do less of it?